Ready.
On May 19th, 1962, Marilyn abruptly left the set of Something's Gotta Give and boarded a plane to New York. She was determined to get there in time to perform at John F. Kennedy's birthday party.
It's an honor to go to the president's ball. She wasn't the only one that was invited. There were many, and she had permission.
It was a very long evening, and during the course of the evening, Peter Lawford introduced Marilyn perhaps 4 or 5 times. And it was a set-up kind of situation.
Mr. President, on this occasion of your birthday, this lovely lady is not only punctilious, but punctual. Mr. President, Marilyn Monroe.
And then he would point to that area of the stage where she was to enter, and she wouldn't enter.
A woman about whom it truly may be said she needs no introduction. Let me just say, here she is.
And something like 4 to 5 hours into the program, it was an extraordinarily long evening, he introduced her as the birthday cake was being wheeled out in the back. And of course, this is the way it was all designed. And she appeared on the stage, incredibly beautiful.
Mr. President, the late Marilyn Monroe.
She was terrified, wouldn't you be? What was it? I don't know how many, 50,000 people, whatever it was, and not feeling well. To get up there, she drank a lot of champagne. So now she was tight. Well, I guess maybe people loved her, but for me it was a caricature.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Mr. President. Happy birthday to you.
Once again, Marilyn made headlines and ruffled feathers.
The video you just watched was from Barbecue.com and about a woman named Norma Jean, or as you commonly know her as, Marilyn Monroe, singing Happy Birthday to John F. Kennedy. We chose her because she's still such a recognizable icon in today's society, but not many people have heard much about her. So we're going to talk about her childhood, her coming into fame, her marriages and affairs, and her death. One thing you probably did not know about Marilyn Monroe was that she had a pretty rough childhood.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to be raised without a mom or a dad? Well, in this case, this little girl, Norma Jean, aka soon to be known as Marilyn Monroe, was born without me. Even though she had a mom, it was like she did not, because the moment she was born, she was placed in a foster home. Well, back then, in the 1920s, it was hard for a single mom to take care of her daughter. So what Gladys, Norma's mom, did was to put her in foster care under the care of the Bollanders. You see, the Bollanders were a religious family, but every time when Norma sang or danced, they told her it was a sin and that if she continued to do it, she would go to hell. Gladys paid the Bollanders $5 a week to take care of her daughter, and she was miserable. One day, because her mom worked in Hollywood, she made enough money to buy a house. Norma was really happy. Every time when she went to her house, she remembered to see a picture of a man. And her mom always told her, that man is your father. And one day he's gonna go and visit you. But of course that was a lie, because before her mom had her, she had been with many other guys. When Norma lived with her mom, she was really happy. Not just because she lived with her mom, but she got to live the life of a normal girl. She practiced singing, she practiced dancing, she even learned how to play the piano. Unfortunately, it all came to an end when her mom's grandfather died, and she suffered from Great Depression. She also couldn't keep her job, and she developed a mental disorder, paranoid schizophrenia. She had to be transferred to a mental place, and poor little Norma Jean was back at square one. Well, her mom had a friend, her name was Grace, and she worked in Hollywood, and she was planning to adopt her, but because her fiance had too many kids, he didn't want to take care of another girl. So Grace took Norma to an orphanage. Well, that day Norma was crying because she wanted a family. There, she was very miserable. She got bullied. She got to do a lot of chores because she was the oldest kid. And despite all that happened, Grace still visited her, and she tried to comfort her. She always told her that she one day was going to become a famous person, which she did. And one of her favorite idols was Jean Harlow. And here's Catherine to let you know more about what she became.
You can go ahead and go. I know you have to go. Yeah.
As can be read in Marilyn Monroe, Hollywood Icon by Lisa Owings. She worked for Fox Entertainment but got dropped after a year of no activity. She created friendship with Zadok, got her a screen test with Columbia Pictures. She used Johnny Hyde, a talent agent whom she met through a party, to get more job opportunities. However, that still wasn't enough, and she got to the point where she was desperate to pose nude on May 1949. She was featured in some movies, but was not recognized until she did All About Eve. All About Eve had the same amount of Oscar nominations as Titanic. As time passed, she developed feelings for Johnny Hyde, but he died on December 1950. She was found limp in her bedroom with a mouthful of sleeping pills. However, they were not swallowed. Some questioned if she did it just for attention. Later, she was recognized for the nude pictures, but public gave her sympathy. She depended on sleeping pills more as her schedule increased. 7-year itch, which you can see pictures from behind me, was what recognized her with the white dress. However, she got tired of Hollywood and Fox and created Marilyn Monroe Production, MMP, to have more control over her life and career. In 1954, her last role was in Something Got to Give. However, that was never finished due to her death. With more information about her life and marriages, here's Kennedy.
Marilyn Monroe was her first marriage was with Jim Daughtry, a military man. They met when she was 16 and he was 19. They soon married on June 19, 1942, and soon after, Marilyn started her modeling and Jim started his services. Tension grew in their marriage, which soon led to their divorce in 1946. Marilyn pushed him out of her heart, and out of her house. Her second marriage was with Joe DiMaggio, a baseball player,
Relax. You're fine. You're fine. It's all good.
they met because Joe saw her in Marilyn's calendar with another baseball player, and they thought she was a fan.
Are you okay? You're okay. It's okay. Y'all can just keep going as if she finished. It's no big deal. Sometimes that happens. It's all good. No worries.
Once asked by a reporter how she felt about Hollywood, Marilyn told her it reminded her of one big varicose vein. Marilyn Monroe was found dead at her house in Los Angeles on August 5, 1962. Although some speculate she was murdered, her death was officially ruled as a drug overdose on the sleeping pills she often took. She was buried in her favorite dress in a Cadillac casket, the most high-end casket available at the time. It was made of heavy gauge solid bronze and lined with champagne-colored silk.
Wow.
The famous Hugh Hefner bought the plot next to Marilyn's, and her ex-husband, Joe DiMaggio, had red roses delivered to her grave for the next 20 years following her death. One of her few possessions was an autographed picture of Albert Einstein signed to Marilyn, "With respect and love, thanks." Her films grossed over $200 million. She today is still imitated by famous women around the world, such as Madonna, Lady Gaga, and Gwen Stefani. Today, she is also still the world's most popular beauty, sex, and appeal icon, and is remembered for her humor and sly wit.
Today we talked about Marilyn Monroe's childhood, her rise to fame, her marriages and affairs, and finally her death. I hope you learned something about Marilyn Monroe through this. She was talented and beloved by many. Thank you.
All right.